So that's a mutual fund. A way to get even more diversified is something called an index fund. Every day on the news, you hear about the Dow Jones Industrial Average, and that is a report from the stock market about how the biggest companies that trade on the stock market have done during that day. And some days it'll go up 1 or 2%, 500, 600 points. Some days it'll go down. And in the days that we're in right now, we're seeing huge fluctuations, historically uncharted territories. Well, it goes up big one day and down a large amount of points the next day. Well, the index fund investing is investing in all of the stocks that are on any given index. So the Dow Jones is an index. The New York Stock Exchange is an index. The NASDAQ is an index. And so when you're investing in those index funds, you're investing in all of the stocks that are on that index. So that gives you pretty good diversification because there's all different types of stocks on that index. There's also different groupings in different index funds that are groupings of 20 or 30 different types of companies. And index funds are a great way to get the diversification that you're looking for. And they're built just like a mutual fund. Mutual funds are more actively managed, where the manager is picking and choosing which stocks to buy, where the index fund is just the whole thing. Now, the index fund, think about the Dow Jones again. It's had major ups and major downs over its history, but the history is that it always goes up. There's times when it's way up and there's times when it's way down. It looks like the rise and fall of a mountain terrain, ups and downs over the course of time, but it always has trended up, even in these different peaks and valleys. And it's important when you invest in the stock market or an index fund that you invest for the long term. Like I'm talking about a 20-year-old investing from the time of 20 to the time of their 65. If you watched the performance of that investment every day, you could drive yourself crazy. Because one day it could be way up. Man, I've made 20% so far this year. And the next day it could go way down. Man, I lost 10% this year. And people can be really worried about their investments. But when you invest for the long term, you can see the return that happens over time, because the market, like I said, always has trended up. So no matter how far down it goes, it will always come back up, is the history of the stock market over the last 120 plus years. So there's a principle called timing the market, and you can't do it because the market is erratic. Some days it goes way up, some days it goes way down. Well, your strategy would be, well, on the days that it goes way up, I'm gonna sell and get the highest return on my money that I can at that point. And then when the days that it goes way down, I'm gonna buy. Well, that's a great strategy, but the problem is you don't know when those days are. So it could go up really big one day and you think, all right, today's the day to sell. And then the next day it could go up really big again. And you're like, oh man, I missed it because I sold. So you can't time the market. You don't know when it's gonna go way up and you don't know when it's gonna go way down.